Hi, I'm Walt Bradley for Citizens Television, and we are here in Higganum at the Haddam Shad Museum. I'm with Dr. Joseph Zients, and you are the curator of the museum. Is that what you are?
Curator.
So tell me about the place. I have to admit, first of all, I knew nothing about shad until about 10 o'clock this morning until we got here. So I'm new to this, so I'm going to be asking you a couple of questions if that's okay.
Sure.
Tell me first about the museum here and what it's all about, how long it's been here.
Here's a very interesting story. This is an authentic shad shack. It used to be across the street. It was owned by a shad fisherman named Bill Maynard. He would catch his fish, would bring them here, and they would bone them out. We'll talk about that later, and sell them here, and also wholesale all the fish out to Boston and New York, all the extra fish.
And the shad now I just read today is the official fish of the state of Connecticut. Is that correct?
Yes, we're proud to say the American shad is the Connecticut state fish.
What's now the shad? Tell me about the shad. It comes up the river a couple months a year. And
the shad is an andromedous fish. It means it spends most of its life in salt water, but only comes up the river of its birth to spawn.
And when is that?
Right now it's from about April till early June.
And
we're not in the season right now.
And it's popular, I imagine. Plenty of people come down here and fish for the fish.
Well, there's two types of shad fishing. Mainly, bulk of shad fishing here is commercial shad fishing with a net, but it's also used by anglers on rod and reel. And that's done mostly up near up off Hartford, near the Farmington River.
And what kind of taste is the fish? What is it comparable to?
It's a wonderful fish. There's a Latin name for the fish, unfortunately I just forgot, but the word is Alosa sapidissima, which means most delicious. It's a very, very delicious fish. It's prepared right. It's simple to prepare, but it's very bony, and so most people are afraid of bones, so you can buy it. There's a technique to have it boned down, but only specialists know how to bone it. It's very difficult to bone.
Good. Now I took a look around here. I noticed you've got a special boat up there. If we can take a walk up there in a minute, and you can tell us about the boat.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, Joe. So what do we got here?
This, although it doesn't look like too much, this is a Brockway scow. It was used by a fisherman from Cromwell, Connecticut, to catch his. The net is shad. These boats were built by Earl Brockway down in Old Saybrook for years. It was the standard boat for shad fishing, shad netters. There's still some in use, but Mr. Brockway died several years ago. They haven't been made anymore. But they're a great boat, and they were fairly inexpensive to make. He made them all by hand right in his backyard. And the design right now is used by third world countries to make their boats. They're a fairly inexpensive boat to make. They range from 16 to 24 feet, and they hold a lot of fish.
All right, so Joe, tell us about the history of the museum and how you got involved with it, and what you guys are up to today, what kind of materials you have on display.
Well, my story of how I got involved is very interesting. I've been in this area for many years. I've owned this building, and I never knew what this little building was until finally an annual town report came out in 1988, which had this building on its picture of this building on its front page, and on these steps here, the husband and the wife had a shad in their hand. And it turned out, I looked further, that it was owned by previous first owner had a shad shack here. And I was all excited because I've been fishing for shad for 30 years. I've been kind of a history buff, so I decided to make a museum out of it.
Was it around before you came in, or you're the one that actually started the museum? I know the building was here.
The building was here, and it was once moved about 40 feet where there was an empty lot, and then it was being used for a barber shop. Then when I first came here, it was being used as a printing office. And it wasn't until I found out the printer had left, and I found out that it was a shad museum, shad shack, So I decided to make a museum out of it.
Nice. Now, how did you acquire your collection here? What did you?
Well, I am glad you asked that story. 'Cause I got some good publicity in the Hartford Current when I was thinking about starting this. And this gentleman kept calling me up and wanting to know all about shad, talking about shad. It turned out that I got a call. I just kind of changed the subject slightly, but I got a call from a lady whose husband was a shad fisherman, and she wanted to give me some of her husband's stuff. And so she came into my office and to talk to me. And I said, I'm going to call this man who always talked to me about shad and see if he'll come up too. And he came up. He was a dapper guy. And he came up with a video camera and a tape recorder, and we had our first interview. And also, she gave me this sign here. He was this man. Her husband was an old-time shad fisherman, a shad boner. And so that was our first interview with my new partner, George Bernard. Sadly died this year. And George provided probably half of the material that we have in our museum. Plus, we have many interviews of shad fishermen that we've done over the years.
You guys yourselves conducted the interviews?
Yeah, my friend George, he speaks very well, and he just loved to talk.
So you've got a video history now
we have
of the shad fishing of our era. Good, and we'll take a look around in there. Maybe you can show us some of your favorite stuff in there. Now, if somebody has some type of shad memorabilia, are you still accepting things?
Oh yeah, we'd love to accept it.
Okay, good. We'll give out the information and people can come.
Every so often says, oh, I happen to have on my attic something my grandfather had, my father had, I have.
Good. So the museum is still growing.
I'm going. Every year something comes up.
Good. Well, why don't we take a walk inside and you can show me some of your stuff in there, okay?
That'll be good.
Great.
Yeah, our major piece here, I think, contribution is this map of fishermen from Haddam. This was done in Haddam River days about 5 years ago by a shad fisherman, and he showed on this display 100 years of shad fishing. It's a map of the river that follows Higginham and Haddam, and all the different reaches, which means the areas where people fish, and down below, all the fishermen. And
Kind of a family tree of the shad fishermen, almost.
That's exactly right. A family tree of the shad fishermen.
And this is what they use right here, the drift nets, and where they went from.
Shows where the type of nets they used. There was drift nets, which are being used now. There were set nets, which were outlawed maybe 50 years ago, and also hauling seines, which were outlawed about 30 years ago. These were outlawed because they were taking too many fish.
Now, where's your favorite spot, or is that a secret?
No. My spot, if I can point with my cane.
Sure.
I fish above. There's Haddam Island, where I live, and I come up here to Maromas to come down.
Nice.
But one interesting point is, just in this section, they all take turns coming down. Now there's no boats. I'm the only boat, and I only do it as a hobby.
Can you fish from the shore also, or do you have to be in a boat for that?
In some areas you can fish from the shore, but you have to go up to somewhere where the fish are backed up. And the people mostly fish up the Farmington River and the Holyoke Dam. Of interesting note, when I got my new partner, George, I didn't even know that people fished on rod and reel, and he didn't even know much about people who fish with nets. So it was a good combination.
Absolutely.
And so George provided all the information for fishing rod and reel, and I did the other. And the same subject, this is a picture of, not a picture, but the actual nets. And these we have to fish at night, and the net is stretched across the river, and there's floats at there's lights at each end, so to warn boats that the nets across the river. This is one of our first acquisitions. This is an antique kerosene light.
This is a kerosene light, huh?
Kerosene.
The kerosene would stay in here and you'd light it up here?
Yeah, and that one too is the same.
This one over here, okay. Now the net feels kind of thin. I was expecting something a lot thicker, nylon or something. Now this is...
has I think multi filament, but
Okay.
now you can use nylon. But at that time, but they're strong. They're pretty strong. Another antique we had. This is This is Bill Mayer's. Bill, people, you know, I was saying before, boning is a very really artwork, and people don't like bone, so that's on the East Coast. It was deboning the fish, which became an important thing. And
Is that the 13 cuts or that I
yeah,
heard of? This?
yeah, there's 13 cuts, 4 cuts.
And I hear it's really an art form.
It's not fun. I've been trying to do it for years.
Have you mastered it yourself yet?
No. Our wife threatened to divorce me. I should know how to do it. I'm a dentist. My hands should be pretty good.
And these are the instruments you use.
These were Bill Mayer's knives, and every person of bones has different opinion, like anything else. Some people like hard bone, hard knives, stiff knives, flexible knives. But boning is very plus. But we do have a videotape here on DVD on how to bone. It was done by the state of New York many years ago, and it was once a secret. Now people are willing to learn, but it's very, very difficult. You'll probably toss away 40 fish before you ever.
Oh yeah.
And most people, like myself, don't have the patience.
Good. And who's the gentleman up here?
That's Bill Mayer, as the older fellow.
Okay.
Also, I'm gonna get this picture in,
Sure.
but here's Bill Mayer as the younger fellow. With the little, yeah, you want to take a look at the little scuffy. And this is an article that was done in the Saturday Evening Post in 1970. This is an ice scoring tool donated by local fellow John Calhoun. This is Bill Mayer's ice scorer. Now, one thing people don't realize these days, that in the old days, you didn't get your ice just out of an ice machine. You had you need a lot of ice to keep the fish cool, and you had to, in the winter, you cut ice in the ice pond. In the pond, and you had to store it in the ice house. It was a building full of sawdust and stuff to keep it cold for the summer.
And it would stay cold all summer.
I don't know about all summer, but it would stay cold all spring.
And you would take this and just kind of
No. They would just put a groove in the ice. Then they use a big saw.
Oh, okay.
By hand. Must have been brutal.
Oof. It's a lot of work.
Now another thing we just didn't mention was that shad come up the river to spawn. They have great eggs, and roe. They call it shad roe. It's the egg sac. Very delicious. And so Bill, for us customers, at the end of the season, he would have a little party for them, a shad bake, and he had a couple of these big frying pans here where he'd saute it raw in these pans for his customers. That was another donation we had.
The roe is eaten separately. It's in a different way than the. It's not baked, I guess. It's.
No, well, my wife makes it very well. The roe is parboiled first, and then the saute.
Nice.
And you parboil because roe is like a big thick hot dog, so you want to get it thoroughly cooked before you start to. You don't want anything to eat raw.
I got them deep river blues. Let it rain, let it pour.
So Joe, you have school groups come in here, or you do presentations, or what do you do?
Well, I want to have a school group from the elementary school next door. Always glad to have them. And I've done presentations to historical societies, several of them. And my hours here are usually during the shad season, on Sundays from 10 to 4. That's from April to middle of June. But at any time, any people would like to come down, we have to open for them on other days. Always great if we could get somebody to donate something about shad, because over the years it's really added to our museum.
Thanks for having us down here today. I appreciate it very much.